Installing Microsoft Office 2003. I know many of you already have this installed and you are getting ready, you want to jump into the applications. Well, for those of you who perhaps maybe didn't purchase a computer that already had it installed, or you don't already have the disk and you've installed it already, then this video is going to give you some tips and tricks on how to do that effectively. Here's what we're expecting to do here. In our first video, we're going to learn a little bit about the installation process, how we can do customization of our Office 2003, and then we'll take a look at how we can update it so that we have the latest and greatest security updates, patches, service packs, all those things, and then finally how to activate our Office 2003. Okay, let's get started with installing our Office 2003. The first thing I'm going to do is take my disk out of my case, place it right here into my DVD-ROM, or if you have a CD-ROM, that works just as well, and it will start installing my Office 2003. So here we go. Grab this here. We can see that the installation files are being fired off, and it's going to start the Office 2003 installation wizard. Now, we're going to stop right here for just a second and focus on what you see here. Microsoft Office Standard Edition 2003. Most of you recognize that there are many different editions of Office 2003. There's the Small Business Edition. There's the Professional Edition. I think there's one called Premier. And each one of them has different features. Standard Edition, as you will see, comes with Outlook. It comes with PowerPoint, Excel, and Word. Your Professional Edition will come with additional things like the Access Database. It's going to come with InfoPath and even Front Page. Some might even include Publisher, Microsoft Publisher. Mine also is a little bit different because I'm a community college instructor part-time, and so when I purchased mine, I did it through the college program, so this is for students and teachers. Just another version of Office 2003. Just understand, your mileage may vary depending on which one that you get. However, the installation is the same no matter whether you're using the Office Standard Edition or you're using some other version like Professional Edition. It is going to ask me for my product key, which will be on the back of your disk or your disk sleeve, so I'm going to enter that right now. Once I've inputted my product key and clicked Next, you'll see the next screen asks me for my user information. That, of course, is if I had the correct key. If I didn't, it would say, this is a bad key, try again, and hopefully it would get the key down correctly. This information, by the way, some people just kind of blow it off. They bypass it. Let me give you a little tip. If you put in, for example, we'll just go ahead and put my name in, Chris. Ward is my username. Well, what are my initials? CW. My organization is CBT Nuggets. Now, when I put this information in, it's going to save it. And whenever I open up templates that have places for a username or initials or an organization, it will automatically fill that information in for me. This is also important when you start sharing some of your documents or your spreadsheets. When you make comments or you do any collaboration, people are going to want to know, well, who changed that? Or who made that comment? Well, my initials will show up, CW, or my username, Chris Ward, and that way people go, oh, Chris made that comment. So this is really good information. So when you're installing, plan on putting your name, your initials, and whatever organization you're with if you're part of an organization, or just leave the organization blank if it's just a personal thing that you have. This will make it really easy for you to track any changes because this information is also embedded into the file itself, so that way you know who saved it last, who modified it last. We're going to go ahead and click Next. At this point, we see the EULA, or what they call it. It's the End User License Agreement. We call it EULA, E-U-L-A for short. Here is just merely a statement that Microsoft is a licensing company. They're letting you put their software on your computer. If at any point in time you break the agreement or they decide they don't want to make it available anymore, you'll have to remove it. We simply say we accept the terms in the license agreement, as have millions of other people, and we click Next. At this point, we're given the choice, hey, do you want to do a typical install? Or we can choose other types: complete installs, minimal installs, and custom installs. A typical install is based upon what Microsoft feels most people would use in the way of components or features. Other features can be installed if you want to use them on the first use, or you can add them later, as it says, with the add remove programs in the control panel. I have yet to find myself to be a typical person. I'm either one of these, where I just want everything given to me at one time. Look, give me the whole kitchen sink, the whole enchilada, whatever thing you want to use to describe what you're doing. This is everything. It will install everything to your hard drive. That's all the components and the tools. But I understand. Some of you guys, I mean, maybe you don't have that much disk space. That's where a minimal install will help you out. Minimal install will give you the required components so you can run Excel and Word and PowerPoint and Outlook in the standard edition, and it will only use enough disk space to install those basic components. The one I'm going to show you, though, is the custom install. This is the one I use where it helps me, especially if you're using a large edition like Professional Edition, which has a lot of features that you might never want to use. Well, maybe you don't want those. Well, we can pick and choose. The other thing you'll see is you can choose a place that you want to install. I recommend leaving it at the default, the Program Files Microsoft Office. But again, if you have a small C drive, your system drive, and now you have this other large hard drive that you have, like the D drive, you could go ahead and click Browse, find a destination folder, maybe on your computer, maybe you have in my case, this is a recovery drive, and you would choose the D drive, and that's where you would install it. Again, that just depends on how much disk space you want. However, typically most people are going to just leave this by the default. I go ahead and click Next, and off we go. It wants to know which one of the applications we would like to install. Well, I don't know about you, but I typically say all of them because I do use Word, I do use Excel, I do use PowerPoint and Outlook. It tells you right now the space that's required for all 4 of these applications with their typical installation. That's important. Unless I choose the advanced customization of the applications, I'm really doing the typical install at this point. It's going to take 418 megabytes of my disk drive. Now I have quite a bit available. I have just almost 400 gigs, so that's not going to be a problem. So let's go ahead and click Next and see that now we have the installation options for applications and tools. Here's my Excel, my Outlook, my PowerPoint, and my Word. Here you can see a tree where if you click on the plus sign, it's going to give you a list of some of the options that you have. And sometimes you have even additional trees that you can branch out on, like for add-ins here. I've got Analysis Tool Pack, Euro Currency Tools. If I need to do business with the European Union out there, I might want to have my Euro Currency Tools. Each one of these little disk drives has little icons next to it. If it has a gray icon, that means that there are additional things that can be installed underneath. That's all these. If you have a 1 next to the disk drive, that means that by default it will be installed, but it's not going to be configured. It will be installed the first time you use it. I know this by clicking down, and it says, look, I'll install this on the first use. Got the little 1 there. I can also run it from my computer, which means put it on the hard drive and allow me to utilize it. And in certain cases, you might see this. Maybe there is a not available next to it, depending again on which version of Office 2003 you have. In this case, all of mine are available. I can also go up to the root of my little branch here, the tree, and I can say here, run all from my computer, and watch what happens. All my options now are going to be run from my computer. Everything that I see right there. So if I go up to Microsoft Office Excel now and say, look, I want to run everything that Excel has to offer from my computer, it automatically adds all of those things onto my hard drive. Okay? The next thing we can do is then go down and we can check out Outlook and do those. I, quite frankly, because I have plenty of disk space, I'm going to install everything that I have. Run all from my computer, all on all of these. So I'm going to go and run all from my computer, run all from my computer, and then Office Tools, run all from my computer. Now, if you are looking out for disk space, take a look at this. I've now added, let's see, I had what, 418? Now I'm up to 627 megabytes. So I added over 200 megabytes more of stuff when I installed this. So if you do have disk space issues, be careful here. especially with like the professional edition, when you have tons of other applications and features. You can really do yourself a disservice if you install too much. I got plenty of room. I'm going to click next. One other thing to see is it gives you the summary screen. That just means, hey, look guys, here's all the things we're going to be adding or installing: Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and Outlook. And they're all going to be run from my computer. Here's how much disk space it's going to take. Here's how much I require. But what if I made a mistake? What if I said, oh, I got to change something? No worries. Before you click install, just click back. And you can go back here and say, on Microsoft Outlook, maybe I don't want the stationery. So I'll do install and first use. Okay? So we can do this and get it set up. I'm going to run it from my computer, click next, and I'm going to click install. At this point, Microsoft Office is going to go ahead and install the application, and we can sit back and watch the bars move across. All right, looks like we have a complete, successful installation of Office 2003. Two things, though, we need to look at before we move on. One is, think about this. If you have a disk and you've put it in, that disk has been burnt for a while for Microsoft, and you might be missing some of the latest and greatest additions, updates, maybe some additional downloads. So Microsoft makes it real easy for us to check out the web. As long as you have a web connection, by the way, you can click this, and as soon as we click finish, it's going to open up the Office Online website, and we can check and see if we have any downloads that we need. Also, it says that during setup, the installation files were copied to Drive C. Right. Here's the thing. If you, during that time, remember we said the install on first use, if I used any of those and I delete the installation files, it will ask you for the CD again. If you don't, and if you just leave these installation files there and you want to install on first use, no problem. It'll go find those installation files and install. So unless you're looking to get 215 megabytes of disk space back in this case, you know, your mileage again may vary depending on which edition you're using. I say keep the installation files. Don't delete the installation files. Also, if you ever do a patch or an update, it will also go to look for the original installation files. So it's a good idea to leave them on. I'm not going to delete them. I'm going to click finish and watch what happens. We bring in Office Downloads homepage. Dum, da, da, dum, and here we see the Office update. This is really cool, guys. Check this out. It's going to say, let's see if we have free updates. We all like free stuff, especially if it secures our application. So I click check for updates. In certain people's cases, if you have not already installed what they call the installation or the update installation wizard, it's an ActiveX control, and you'd get a little pop-up thing here on the menu, and it would say something like, do you want to install the Office Update Installation Wizard ActiveX control? Merely say yes, install, and it will allow you to do this. All it's doing right here, it's checking your computer and saying, hey, do you have, in this case, Service Pack 2 for Office 2003? There's an update for Office 2003, and these are required updates, by the way. Update for the Outlook 2003 junk email filter. We all hate that spam. We're going to want that. But look at this. There's a security update for Outlook 2003. However, I can't install it yet until I install Office 2003. Bummer. Oh, no problem. I'm going to go ahead and say, let's install these three. It will then come back and check again, and I'll be able to install. So I click the agree and install. It will go through and say, look, let's download the selected updates, and then we will install them. Alrighty, installation was successful. It tells you the 3 updates that we got: our Service Pack 2, our update for Office 2003, and our junk email filter. When I click finish, it'll say, now, you know what? There are some required updates that you didn't install. Let's check to see which ones those are. Well, we'll know. It's that one security one for Outlook. And yep, there it is. Security update for Outlook 2003. At this point, there are no recommended tools where Microsoft would say, hey, look, here's some additional download type things. Now, that doesn't mean that there's not some very cool features or templates or things you can use, which are all available over here. But you have to go look for them. They're not going to recommend them at this point. We'll go ahead and agree and install this security update for Outlook 2003. And this is familiar. We see, we download, we install, and we'll be ready to go at that point. Okay, our installation is successful. We got our security update. We'll click finish, At this point, it'll say, look, looks like you're already updating, and we can go to the downloads homepage, find something. We can go back to the Microsoft Update website, but everything else should be good to go. So let's close out of this. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to click Start. We're going to go to All Programs. We're going to go to Microsoft Office, and let's say we want to start Microsoft Office Excel 2003. When we do that, it's going to open up and allow me the ability to go ahead and either activate. In this case, I've already activated this version. It will come up with the screen. You'll click, do you want to activate over the phone, or do you want to activate it through the internet? If you have an internet connection, you just click go. It'll go through, it'll collect the information, it'll send it off, and you're good to go. But maybe you don't have an internet connection, or maybe you've installed it a couple of times and now you need to get permission from Microsoft because they're a little suspicious. They might say, hey, give us a call, and you can explain over the phone. Look, it was on my laptop and now I've moved it over to my desktop. I need to activate it again. And they can say, okay. If you don't activate it, the nice thing is Microsoft gives you about, I think about 50 times, 48, 50 times before they say you can use it. After that, the options will be limited on what you can use Microsoft Excel to do, or Word, or Outlook, or any of those others. So once we fire off the application for the first time, in this case I've already activated it, it will ask you to activate it and we can begin. Okay then. We have now looked at our first video and we see how to install Office 2003. That was the first thing that we wanted to make sure we did. We also talked a little bit about customization. Hey, what if we want certain features and we don't want other features, or we do want these features? We can do that with our customization. Remember one key thing about customizing things, and that is when we are installing Office 2003, we want to leave the installation files on the hard drive if we have enough space, because if we do an install and first use, or if we ever want to do some updates, we don't want to have to spend a lot of time looking for the CD. And then finally, we are going to do updates and activation. Updates because that CD is probably old, we need the latest service pack. And activation, hey, if we want to use that full-featured Office 2003 for more than 50 times, we do need to activate it now with Microsoft. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.